All right, we've got one of my favorite lyricists in the studio with me. He's representing the great borough of Brooklyn, and he's a major, lifelong Knicks fan. It's my guy, the one and only Skyzoo. Sky, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, brother? What's going on?
Hey, I'm good, man. Glad to have you here. We're going to talk some things. We're going to talk the Knicks. We're going to talk your new album. We're going to talk all that, but all's well with you?
Yeah, everything is smooth. You know, I'm happy to be here, hanging out with family, hanging out in a beautiful place like this, doing the right thing, you know?
I like it, man. Always good. Always good to connect with another Brooklyn brother here.
Absolutely,
That's
all day.
Good. Now, you got the new album, The Mind of a Saint, that you dropped last month, and that's the title of it. And the album is you speaking from the perspective of the main character in the show Snowfall, Franklin Saint, and you did that. So what was the inspiration behind this project? Why did you decide to do this project this way?
Yeah, well, the inspiration behind it was just me being a huge fan of the show. You know, the show is groundbreaking. It's a wonderful piece of art that represents such an important time in our history as far as this country, as far as our people and the things that we went through and, you know, what was put on our table in front of us and what we were forced to kind of get into and the politics behind it. And it really just peels back the curtain on so many things. And me being a fan of the show, you know, I just came up with this idea to do something kind of creative, you know, and I said, man, what if Franklin, the lead character of the show, could tell his story? You know, what if the show is not him being an artist, has nothing to do with music or anything like that. If you know the show, he's a drug dealer from South Central LA in the mid-1980s. And I said, well, what if he were able to tell his innermost thoughts and demons and talk about the other side of it? Because I think a lot of the music nowadays kind of glamorizes a lot of that world.
Right.
And what if somebody who, from a character perspective, who was in it in a fictional sense, could tell the other side and kind of break down the ills and the pitfalls and what was wrong with it and what was really going on? What would that sound like? And creatively, I just jumped in a bag and, you know, I got with my guys, named The Other Guys, ironically, the production duo out of DC, and they did all the music for it. They did all the production, and I put the pen to the pad and we went to work.
You did. You definitely went to work. Shout out to the other guys who did a tremendous job with the production. And look, part of the reason we have you here too, obviously the album is great. People need to check that out. But we've known each other for a while. And you are a huge New York Knicks fan. We know that you are a huge New York Knicks fan. Right now, the Knicks are 28-26 on this season. I don't know, because I didn't talk to you about this early in the season. I don't know what your expectations were of them early in the season, but what do you like about the team? Do you like where the team is at right now? What do you think about where they are right now?
Yeah, I think my expectations were where we currently are. Kind of a middle of the pack, enough to do some things, not enough to do some other things, but growing. And, you know, I'm a fan, win or lose. You know, I've been there for the highs, I've been there for the lows and the lowers, you know what I mean? And like you, we don't leave, you know? So, you know, with that being said, I like some of the aspects of what's going on. Obviously, Julius is having a monster season. Jalen Brunson has been way more than advertised, which is great. You know, a lot of us may not have known too much about his game coming off the bench in Dallas and all that, but he's been way better than advertised. He's obviously been worth every penny. You know, there's little elements, me being a Knicks fan and me being a point guard guy, I'm like, I need a few more assists out of my point guard if I'm gonna be honest. You know, 41 points is great, but you know, 3 assists by the third quarter, I'm like, we need like 4 or 5 more of those, you know what I mean? But I'm an old school point guard guy, so, you know, maybe that's for good or bad. But he's great, he's been great. Quickly is turning up defensively, and I don't think people saw that coming. You know, people knew he was a gunner, he could shoot it 30, 40 feet out, whatever it might be. I don't think people saw him becoming kind of a defensive stalwart that he is. Obviously, Grimes has been dope doing his thing, so we're growing. There's definitely some room to kind of tighten up some screws and nuts and bolts, but I think there is a nice start of a foundation of some sort.
Okay, so you're feeling good about the team. You talked about there's a need where you could possibly tighten up some screws and nuts and bolts. Trade deadline is one of those times where you can do that.
Absolutely.
And that deadline is, everybody knows, coming up on Thursday. What kind of move would you like to see the Knicks do if they are to make a move by the trade deadline, Sky?
Small forward, off the rip, wing player, you know? I'm old school, so I still small forward.
Still small forward, right.
Shooting guard, point guard, small, you know, small forward without a doubt. You know, the OG Anunoby talk, the Sadiq Bey talk. I think there's other guys out there that could be in the conversation, you know, that we may not even know about. Obviously, the idea of an OG Anunoby would be great. I know that's going to cost a bag. That's going to cost a couple things, but they have it. And that's the thing that a lot of fans got to realize, the ones who may nitpick a little bit. There's a reason why they went and got 1,000 first-round picks or whatever it is, you know, like you got to use them. You can't sit on all this for this long and not use them. We all know.
You feel like this is the time for them to use it this trade deadline?
Some of
that kind of player?
Some of it, not all.
Right.
They got so many. They could do this 2 or 3 times over. They got, I mean, I think they said they got 11, 12 first rounds and, you know, 5 seconds. And you can't sign all those players to the team, obviously. There's only 15 roster spots. Start using some of them. So, you know, if the price becomes 2 or 3 first-round picks in a player, okay. You know, depending on who that player is and what you're giving up and what you're getting back. I'm not saying do that for just anybody, and I'm not saying throw anybody in the wind, but if it makes sense and you have somebody like that who is a true 3-and-D guy, is young, 25, you know, has all that going on, has experience, playoff experience, et cetera, he could come in, he seems tough as nails, you know, bring him in.
Okay,
you know?
so
I think something like that.
Okay, so OG Anunoby, that's a guy you really like and think could work here for the Knicks. Had to ask you about this in terms of coaching with the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a segment of the Knicks fandom that isn't so thrilled with head coach Tom Thibodeau.
Right.
Where do you stand on Coach Tibbs? Do you think that he is the coach to lead the Knicks to the promised land? Do you like where he's taking the team? They could make it to the playoffs 2 out of 3 years here. Do you like the job Tibbs has done with the team, and how do you see him leading the team going forward?
It's another one where it's a rock and a hard place. You know, you're talking about a coach who has done so many things, whether it's in Chicago or Minnesota or Boston before that as an assistant and all the different things he's done. Won Coach of the Year here with us. But at the same time, you see kind of the, you know, kind of the stubbornness with adjustments and doing different things in game. And, you know, it from the outside looking in, it might feel like my way or the highway type thing. And when you're dealing with a league nowadays that's so fluid, from the players to the coaching to the way the game is played, you have to be able to adjust, you have to be able to adapt. And we haven't really seen much of that. We've seen a lot of this is the way it's gonna be and that's that. The thing with that is, as long as the Knicks continue to win, and we want them to win, we're not sitting here rooting for them to lose ever, but as long as the Knicks continue to win, make the playoffs, playing game, whatever it is, there's no way they're going to get rid of him because he's technically winning, right? So even if it's hard-headed and stubbornness and all of that, he's winning. We technically have a winning record right now. We're right above 500. What you said, 28?
28 and 26. Yep.
We're above 500. So how does a Leon Rose go in there and say, hey, you got to go? And then how do you explain that to the media, right? Hey, we just canned the coach. Well, why? You guys had a winning record. So if you want Tibbs gone, you have to root for them to lose. But how, as a Knicks fan, do you root for them to lose? You know what I mean? Right. So it's a rock and a hard place. His intentions are good because he wants the wins, but I just wish there was a little more movement, more wiggle room and fluidity with, okay, we're doing this, but then we can do that and we can do some of these things and adjustments in game and things like that. I think there's room for that as well.
And I think that's something you're hearing from the fan base is that they want some more of that flexibility in coaching. So
that's it.
Hearing it from you as a fan, I understand that. This is the last thing for me, Sky. The Knicks, as I said, they could very well make the playoffs 2 out of 3 years, and that's good continuity that you've seen for the team. You talked about being through the ups and the downs.
Right.
Are you excited about the future of this team? Do you think the future is bright for this Knickerbocker team? When you talk about all the picks, the culture seems to have changed a bit. I think some fans would agree with that. Are you excited about the future of this team? I'm
excited at the possibility of the future. You know, I really like Brunson. Me getting on him about the assists, I don't know if he's watching, but I'm a Brunson fan. I just want that rock thrown around a little more, you know. But, you know, besides that, I mean, Julius has been showing out and having a tremendous year. He's looking like a walking double-double every time he comes out. His attitude has changed from last year, which is great. So there's pieces there, like I said. You know, Quickly's been doing his thing, Grimes, and, you know, there's pieces there. But I don't know what the future holds because I think there's so many other little spots and gaps that you could do a little bit more with. And I think something like an OG or a small forward. You know, we're not going to put it all and say OG or bust. I'm not going to say that. I think it would be great to get him. But a small forward that could truly lock that in because all the other spots are pretty much filled, right? You know, you got Brunson. It looks like Grimes is going to be that starting 2 guard between him and RJ and the back and forth with that or whatever it's going to be. Randall's obviously there. Mitchell's obviously there. Where's your room? Where's your opening? Well, there's your opening right there at the 3. So, you know, I think the possibility of the future is exciting. I don't know if the actual future is exciting yet, but the thought of what the future could be
is exciting. Well, to the fans, you know what is exciting? The Mind of a Saint.
Yes, it is.
Everybody should check that out. It's a really good album. You should check it out. Skyzoo, new album with the other guys Everyone should check that out. Sky,
yeah.
I appreciate you coming up here. We had a chance to chop it up, talk some Knicks, talk some hip-hop. Always love to do that. Appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
Much continued success. Again, Skyzoo, Mind of a Saint. Check that out. Dexter Henry, Skyzoo.
Peace and love.
New York Post. Peace.